The following podcast is an RMG Media production.
Welcome to the Renaissance Podcast, a podcast for Renaissance women
and men
who want to create a modern-day Renaissance in their life and business.
We interview some of the most successful entrepreneurs and share their unique stories.
Are you ready to create your Renaissance? I just wanted to roll into this because that's just the most fun, but I want to give you a proper introduction. So I'm joined by my amazing co-host today, Ashley McDuffie on the Renaissance Team Walkers. No boys allowed in this podcast. We're going to talk a lot about boobies and tatas and all the good.
It's our breast episode.
Yeah. It's going to be a good time.
I love this so much. Yeah, welcome to the first ever breast episode of the Renaissance Podcast. And we are joined by the amazing Jessica Baladad, the founder of Feel for Your Life app and the 2023 Mona Lisa. So before I go into Jessica, I want to let people know what the foundation is. And Jessica had applied for our grant and this scholarship program. It's called the Mona Lisa Foundation, where the Renaissance Marketing Group team selects one woman a year to take under our wing and provide all of our services, which comes to I think it's like $75,000 in services for free so that we can grow her business and get her dreams off the ground and just do amazing work for the purpose in spreading the good that you're doing with your business. And then we also launched our Mona Lisa mentorship program last year. So we have paired you with, or will be pairing you with 12 incredible women in Nashville who are some of just mentors of mine, just badass entrepreneurs. You're in the best hands possible. And we're so excited. Welcome to Renaissance.
Oh, I am so excited to be here. It's just everyone's just been so welcoming, and it's just filled my heart with so much joy. And I just love the work that you all are doing, and you all are very well respected in your field and with your talent and knowledge and wisdom and everything that you're doing in the Nashville community for small businesses and beyond. So it's just truly an honor to be here and to be considered, and I'm not going to let you down.
Well, we're so excited. I remember when Sydney was going through applications, she would send me ones, and once we got yours, we were like, this is it. She's
done.
Aww. Yeah, we were like, this
done.
Is it.
It was just in the bag. It was like, oh my God. I don't know if we've ever been so aligned with someone than we have with you. And I just feel like Ashley and I, looking at that application, we instantly knew this is a business that, one, we so believe in. We can pour everything we have into it. Won't even feel like work. I mean, that's why I love what I do so much, is it truly doesn't feel like work. And it's just like, I want to be a part of what you're doing, because your story, which I know we're going to delve into, is I know Ashley has a personal connection to a breast cancer journey, and it makes you want to cry, knowing what you've gone through. Not many women have had to experience that. A lot of women have, but it's probably the most I can't even imagine anything more challenging, from just like a physical, mental, emotional toll that it had on you. And then you turned it around and made it into this beautiful thing that is saving lives.
Well, you couldn't have said it any better. You just captured everything so perfectly and eloquently. And, that's the summary of how things came to be. Yeah.
So take us back. Let's go there. We're drinking some wine. You brought us some Beach Haven. Is that the name?
Yep, Beach Haven.
From Clarksville, which is, I have a couple girlfriends that are always trying to get me to go out there. So now I'm going to do it. And cheers, girls, to a Tuesday rosé moment we love. And it's pink, very on brand for all three of us. You were 33 when you got diagnosed.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Before that, what were... you would go to your exams, your annuals, nobody was checking you then, or what was that like before getting diagnosed?
So before getting diagnosed, I'm going to take it all the way back to when I was 18 years old. I had just graduated. I'm from the Nashville area. Grew up in White House, so I graduated from White House High School, class of 2003. Yeah. And I was on my way getting ready for college to start at Western Kentucky University. And I was working 2 jobs at the time. I was working customer service in the mall and I was working at a restaurant. And in between jobs, I'd have to go home and take a shower to prepare for the next job. So I was in the shower one afternoon and I was just bathing and I happened to stumble upon a lump on my right side at the lower quadrant in the 6 o'clock position. And I just thought, oh my God, what is this? I'm like, am I too young to get breast cancer? I'm 18. Like, I knew about breast cancer in my family. It's been 2 aunts, a grandmother, 6 of my grandmother's sisters, and my great grandmother have all had cancer. So when I felt this lump, I'm like, oh my, this is cancer. And I had never been to the gynecologist before. And these were the days before you Googled your symptoms and went to Dr. Google for everything. So I just thought, I've got to get to a doctor. So I called up my best friend and she helped me pick out a gynecologist to go and get checked out. I grew up with my dad. These are not conversations that we really had.
Yeah.
So, I go to the doctor and she goes over everything. She's like, oh, it's just a cyst. It's going to go away with your menstrual cycle. Just keep an eye on it. And I'm like, okay, great. Had my menstrual cycle. I noticed it got a little smaller, but it didn't go away completely. But I thought, well, it's not getting any bigger. I'm fine. Started college at Western Kentucky. It was October. I'm walking to class. I had my backpack on and I just know like I had a lot of pain in my right breast. I dropped my books, went into the bathroom, and I'm just feeling around on myself. And I'm just like, this hurts. Like, I don't know why I'm in pain, but I need to get something done about this. So I went to health services on campus. That doctor went and she wrote me a referral for an ultrasound. And I went to the ultrasound. They're taking a lot of pictures. I didn't really know what was going on. I wasn't really nervous. I think I was just really naive and just kind of going through the motions. And I was thinking about my classes more than anything. Had the ultrasound, I go back to school, and then I just know a few days go by. I get a call from the doctor on campus, and she says, hey, can you come by my office after class? No big rush or anything, just whenever you have a chance. I thought, oh, okay, no big deal. She's just going to tell me everything's fine. I go to her office, and she's like, look, the lump in your breast is not a cyst, it's a solid mass. And I'm like, what? And I just broke down and cried. And I called my dad and I drove from Bowling Green down to White House, and we all kind of had this family dinner and we talked about things. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. So my dad's making some phone calls. He's calling surgeons and doctors related to my aunt who she's gone through. And I just knew I wanted to be at the same hospital as her. And I had a lumpectomy at 18 years old, and when they biopsied the tumor, it was something called a fibroadenoma, which is a benign breast tumor. Now, talk to your doctor about this, but I've been told that it's common to have these in women of menstruating ages. So, it was removed, and everything was fine. I healed from it, and that experience put me in the habit of doing self-breast exams throughout adulthood. So I got into a routine of doing self-breast exams after my menstrual cycle. That's when my doctor wanted me to do them. So I'm going, 15 years later, 33 years old. Here we are at 2018. January, I do my self-exam. February, I do my self-exam. March, I skipped my self-exam for March because I was going to see my practitioner that month. And I thought, who better than my practitioner than to do a clinical exam of my breast? She had checked them out every year. I trusted her. I figured if something was wrong or if I wasn't being thorough enough and she found something, she would tell me. So she does a clinical exam, doesn't say anything to me, tells me to get dressed, see you next year. I'm like, great, awesome. 2 weeks later, I had a death in my family. I had to travel for it. And I remember being at a relative's house and I'm taking a shower and it was time to do my self-exam. And I thought, I just went to the doctor. I'm probably fine. And then it was like, no, Jessica, this is when you do it right after your menstrual cycle. You need to do your self-exam. Went over the right side, everything was okay. Went over the left side, got into about the 2-3 o'clock position, and I felt a lump. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, no. You've been here before. When I felt this lump at 33, it was firm, and I could tell it was pretty dense. It didn't move. I could wiggle it a little bit like corn on the cob, but I thought, well, when I was 18, that lump, I could move it around. It was very mobile, a little squishy too. And I'm like, you know what? The doctor didn't say anything about this. I'm in the best shape of my life. Don't really drink, don't smoke. I'm not a prude. I'm a cheap date. I'm working out. I'm lifting weights and running marathons. Breast cancer doesn't run on my mom's side of the family. I'm probably fine because I remember the last thing I told myself was, I'm sure that doctor would have told, or the practitioner would have told me. So I remember I got out of the shower and I even went to Dr. Google and I'm Googling the symptoms. And the symptoms that came up in Google were dimpling, puckering, a rash, discharge, bleeding. And I'm like, I don't have any of that. I just have a lump. So I'm sure it's just something hormonal. I'm probably fine. And so, just a bunch of things played a role in me not doing anything about it. And so I went, that was right around Easter, and it was April 2018. I went April, May, June, got to the end of July. And here I am, in my, early 30s-ish. I'm just tired all the time. I'm traveling a lot for the job that I had at the time. I thought maybe it was just jet lag. I'm just, I'm working out a lot, but I'm sleeping about 7 to 8 hours a night. And I'm sleepy in the middle of the day. And I feel like I need to take a nap. And so I would sleep for like 2.5 hours, needing to set an alarm because I wasn't waking up on my own. And I thought, why am I like this? I guess, well, this is what it's like to be in your 30s. You're just supposed to be tired all the time. This is getting old.
Right.
And it was just funny thinking back at it now. But I remember I woke up from a nap and I'm going through my phone and I'm checking Snapchat. And there's a girl that I had met at my sister's wedding back in the spring, and she was shaving her head. And I text my sister, I said, why is so-and-so shaving her head? And my sister's like, she just got diagnosed with breast cancer. And I'm like, holy, lots of words. She's a year older than I am. I need to get myself back to the doctor. And then that led to my diagnosis.
Wow. So when you went to get diagnosed then from there, what was that conversation like? What did they feel it and instantly say, yeah, we got to get this?
It's interesting. I went back to the same clinic but saw a different practitioner. She went over my breast and she's going over it, and I'm looking at her face because I'm trying to get a read on her, right? And she had a great poker face, but I was still curious. And she's like, all right. She's like, go ahead and get dressed. We're going to schedule you for a mammogram. I'm like, what? Okay. And so I'm just kind of sitting there. She sends the nurse in, and the nurse says, all right, I'm going to schedule you for your mammogram. It's going to be at this clinic. And I'm just like, wait, hang on. What did she say about the lump? And the nurse said, I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. And I was just like, well, I have questions, can you go ask? And she was really frustrated and really uncomfortable. I think they wanted me to get out of there. And so she just kind of huffs and puffs and rolls her eyes and she leaves. And she comes back in and tells me 3 words: firm, smooth, and dense. I said, that's it? Is that all our notes say? She's like, yeah, we need to get you scheduled for this mammogram. I said, well, hang on, I have questions. And the nurse said,
especially with your history too.
Yes, they were
you're
fully
educated
aware of that.
in the topic as well.
Yeah. And she said, well, it's going to be a while. I said, well, I'll wait. And she's like, well, don't go Googling anything. And I'm like, what do you think I'm going to do if I've got to sit here for a minute? So she left and I sat there for 90 minutes.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I Googled everything in the world.
Oh my! I can't even imagine how long those 90 minutes felt. That probably felt like a year.
Yeah, and I knew they wanted me to leave because at one point the nurse came and checked on me. She's like, "It's still going to be a little while." I said, "I've got all day."
Wow.
Yeah, that was a priority at that point.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking like, how could they not move even fast? I'm hoping that then after that you got a mammogram really quickly.
It was pretty quick. It was I waited like a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the doctor eventually came back in, and she just had this look on her face. And I said, "Is it cancer?" And she's like, "All I can say is that it's a lump." And that's fair. I mean, she can't diagnose it based on a physical clinical exam. And then she kind of breaks down and tells me, "I just buried a relative with breast cancer," and she was getting upset. And then it kind of all started to click. And I'm like, it's probably why they wanted me to leave. Like, this is very uncomfortable. And I just knew. And so she takes my hand, and no one's ever done this before in a medical setting. She's like, "Can I pray for you?"
Wow.
And I said, yeah, I'm a person of faith. And she prayed over me. And it was a very beautiful prayer. And then she said, no matter what happens, God is going to use you through this.
Wow.
Yeah. that gave me chills.
Me too.
Yeah. And it was that moment I knew it was probably cancer, because no one's ever told me that when I've had the sniffles or anything, bronchitis, a UTI. No one says, "Hey, here's your antibiotics. God's going to use you through this."
Right. Yeah. Like, you're going to make a lot of impact. It's like wow. I mean, that's a very divine moment. I mean, for her to have felt that.
Yeah.
I feel that was something higher that came over her to do that. And she probably doesn't do that for everyone, but she just could feel it in you.
Yeah. And, it was then I knew. And at this moment, no one in my family knew what was going on. I had an aunt who was getting ready to pass of stage 4.
That's heavy.
Yeah. My husband is the most happy-go-lucky guy. And a lot of people ask, and I'm just going to be vulnerable here.
Please.
Did your husband not feel it or notice? And the answer is no, it was really deep in the tissue. And I was always very thorough in my self-exams. I mean, I got up in there. So, I mean, which he never did. But so just saying, no, he didn't notice it. So I came home, and, we're sitting at the dinner table, and I'm just like, "Hey, got a lump in my breast. I'm going to go get a mammogram." And he, in his naive, just, we're young. And he's like, "Oh, okay." He's probably thinking like, "Oh, this is just what girls go through. They got to get stuff checked out." And he's a sneakerhead, and he shows me his phone. "Can I get this pair of shoes?"
You're like, God. My husband would do the exact same thing.
The brain of men sometimes.
Unless you come to them like freaking the fuck out. Like, I feel like screaming, crying.
Yeah.
They're just
But then it's like sometimes you have to be the calm one. Because if not, they're going to freak out. Like, if you're freaking out, they're really going to freak out.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, the women have to be the calm.
Someone's got to be strong in that situation. And
that's exactly what I was going for. And I'm kind of glad he responded that way. I'm like, yeah. And, I was pretty much alone in this. Like, my family didn't know, and I didn't because I'm being strong with them, considering everything that's going on and with my family at that time. So I show up for the mammogram. And I don't know why they ask you this. I have no idea. But I'm filling out paperwork, and I go to turn it in, and she's like, "Do you have a living will?" And I'm like, "Do I need one right now?"
That's
And I'm like,
a terrible question.
I know.
to ask.
And she's like, no. We just need to know if we need to keep it. I'm like, why? It's just a standard procedure, but and I'm laughing about it now.
They ask you that at the beginning of getting a mammogram.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I guess it's pretty standard.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But so, I go for the mammogram, and I'm shaking. I'm by myself because, one, I'm hiding it from everybody, except my husband just knows I have a lump in my breast, and he thinks this is just a routine exam. Once I calmed down, I was able to stop shaking. They took images, and I could not stop touching it. So it hurt, but in general, mammograms I've had follow up, they've not been too bad. I had a lot of bruising on the inside because I couldn't stop touching it. I was pretty obsessed with it. They tell me to go out in the waiting room again, and then they called me back for an ultrasound. I'm like, here we go. I said, more imaging. The ultrasound tech is going over my left breast, and I just hear cha-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching on with the space bar, and she's not saying a whole lot. And I have so many questions I want to ask her, but I'm thinking she's not going to tell me anything.
She probably can't.
Yeah. And I'm just like nervous. And she's like, all right, hon, I'm going to go and get the doctor. So just sit right here. I'm like, not going anywhere.
Can't.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, getting the VIP treatment. I get to meet the doctor. I'm not going to get a letter that says, hey, come back next time, He comes in and he looks like he's about my husband's age. So I feel like I could kind of relate to him maybe. And he's looking at the screen, having the ultrasound tech go over my breast, and then she starts to go up my arm. And he stops her and says, wait, get that lymph node, that big one. And I just sat up and said, lymph node, and I knew. And he looks at me, he's like, okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I've seen this before. I'm pretty sure it's cancer. And I just I was just stoic.
Black out, I feel like.
Yeah. And at the same time, I was just like, thank you for telling me. And because I knew it had a label, it had a name. And he could tell that I was just in complete shock because I think I stopped talking. I actually did black out. I don't remember a whole lot, but they knew I was by myself and they're like, we're not going to let you drive right now. Is there someone who can come pick you up? I'm like, did I call my family? Like, it was a question, and because I was like, I'm not ready to tell them. So they got my dad on the phone, and the nurse was like, hey, I'm here with your daughter, Jessica, and blah, blah, blah. And, there's something suspicious. I'll let her talk to you. And I don't even, I do. I do remember what I said to my dad. And I said, Dad, I need you to listen to me right now. I need you to stop what you're doing because I need you. And, I don't remember much of the conversation. I just remember he was quiet. And I said, he's like, meet me at the house in White House. I said, okay, I'll be there. And called my stepmom. And thank God she was there because she came and got me. And so then I called my husband who had just started a new job. And I called him. I said, meet me at my dad's house. I couldn't say it on the phone. I said, meet me at my dad's house. And he's like, what's going on? I said, just meet me at my dad's house. And, I get there and my stepmom comes and gets me. I'm calling a few of my friends who are in White House still, and they're meeting me at my dad's house. And they're like, I've got my kids. Bring your kids. Just bring your kids. I need people right now. And so I sat everyone down and I said, okay, this is how we got here. And this is what's going on. And, lots of tears and lots of hugs. And I said, I've got a biopsy tomorrow at Centennial Women's. So if you're not doing anything.
You want to hang.
Yeah, you want to hang. At that moment, no one left me the F alone. Sure. I had an entourage. I was like at my oncologist, every appointment, here comes Jessica and her entourage. Like that's no beautiful. One left me. Yeah. And this is before COVID. So they were all supportive of everybody being with me all the time. And, went to my ultrasound and the biopsy. It was an ultrasound guided biopsy. And I thought I was allowed to bring everybody. And no, they separate you. And I'm like, but
my peeps.
Yeah, my people. Yeah. And I realized I needed to appreciate the moments when I was alone with the doctor or the nurse or the technician because I had to be strong in front of my family. When I was behind closed doors, I broke down. I had my chance to cry, to scream, to be angry, to vent, and have my moment. Because as soon as I came out and I was dressed, I'm like, hey, everybody, we don't know until we know something.
Good.
We're good. Let's go get some food. I'm
Yeah.
starving, and I would just quickly change the subject because just the levity of everything.
Yeah. I feel like that's a hard balance when you're going through that of like you want to be strong for the people around you because you don't want to scare them, but internally you're freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
And I just feel like that's a really hard line.
It was really difficult. I think that was the hardest part throughout each stage is just telling people what's next and what's going to happen because it was constantly changing.
Yeah.
And it was emotionally exhausting too because I would tell, I'm laughing about this. I would tell my friends like, hey, I've got something heavy to tell you. I've been diagnosed with breast cancer. And then they would just, oh my God, you're my strongest friend. What is we going to do without you? And they would just go on. And I'm like, wow, so I heard you just found out your friend has cancer. Do you need anything? And so I'm like, helping them when I really came to them for help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what I realized is that I had to figure out how I was going to tell people certain things. I had my close-knit, tightest group, my family, my dad, my husband, my sister, and then a really good friend of mine, the one who helped me shave my head, actually. She's a beautician and does a lot of things, actually, but she's also, I call her like my PR friend because she loves to talk and tell people things. So I'm like, you're going to be my go-to when I need you to tell people outside in the next circle. So I'm like, because it's just so heavy for me. So you get to be on the inner group, but I'm going to, utilize you to tell other people. And, and we would talk and I would make sure she understood it so she could repeat it to others correctly. So it just really took a lot off of me.
Yeah.
And then I learned, I stopped telling people when I had doctor's appointments, like on social media and stuff, because people are like, what happened? And I stopped Googling things because it'll just scare the shit out of you to Google it. And Google is optimized, to everything is cancer and everything is worse. A lot of people do some pretty good work in SEO, but that's why you don't Google cancer stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even just medical stuff in general. I feel like
And it
just
seems like everything you Google is some sort of cancer diagnosis.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I have a bump on my knee. Well,
probably cancer.
You're dying.
Yeah.
And you're just like, cool.
Yeah.
So it's all scary.
Yeah. Plus, I stopped Googling because I'm like, it's probably cancer. Like, it's probably related to a side effect or symptom that I have. So I'm like, elbow pain, probably cancer. Yeah.
Well, and then you go down the rabbit hole of just like hear like all the theories and the people on Reddit. And you're just like, there are some crazy people who get behind the internet. So sometimes it's just, I feel like, especially medical situations, just like trust the doctor.
Yeah. I say this lightly. I miss the days when Facebook required a .edu email address.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a very short-lived moment.
Yeah.
Ashley probably wasn't even born when that was a moment. Just kidding.
I don't remember that at all. I'm not going to lie. I don't remember that.
Like when you were in like you would only be able to be on Facebook when you were like had a school, like university email. That was like their way of only accepting. That was like 07 or 06 or something. It was like when it first became a thing. And then they were like, actually, we want the masses.
Everybody.
Literally everyone.
Yeah. It got so much better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So much better. We love Facebook, don't we?
Yeah.
We actually.
We're big fans of Meta.
Yeah. Oh, God. Let us talk to you about how much we love. So I want to know there's so many things you've been through because the journey was from that day, from that first diagnosis to when you were in remission. How many years was that?
That was from the date of diagnosis to being declared NED, no evidence of disease. It was actually 9-10 months from treatment, from chemo treatment to radiation to that point of being no evidence of disease. So it was, I was diagnosed in early August and then went into remission May 3rd. Yeah, so it was actually like August 3rd to May 3rd. It was like really about to the...
How many rounds of chemo did you have?
It was 16 rounds of chemotherapy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 16 rounds of chemotherapy, like laying it all out. Chemotherapy, 24 rounds of radiation. I had a double mastectomy. I've had a hysterectomy and a 10-hour flap reconstruction where they took fat tissue and blood vessels from my stomach and transplanted them into my chest to recreate my breasts. So, yeah. And then I've had like just some other minor touch-up surgeries and stuff here and there as well. Mm-hmm.
What stage were you?
I was diagnosed at stage 2B.
Okay.
Yeah. So the tumor was about the size of a golf ball. And then I had a few diseased lymph nodes that showed up in imaging. The biggest one was on the ultrasound at the time of before my biopsy. And then when they go in for surgery, it's kind of interesting. Before the double mastectomy, they inject you with this blue dye that makes every part of cancer light up like a Christmas tree. And it'll tell the surgeon what to cut out and how to get clear margins. And so, just to kind of get the best result possible to give you the longest prognosis. And so she found other lymph nodes that didn't come up on imaging or because it was so small. So I'm like, you take everything. And she did. She yanked out what she thought she needed to.
Yeah.
Gosh. So at what point in your journey did you have the idea to start Feel for Your Life, which is an incredible innovation that's been used by thousands of women and has saved lives.
Yes.
And you have incredible stories of women that have like messaged you and been like, wow, I'm so glad that so tell us about that idea and when this you were able to kind of put this into fruition.
Yeah. So, when I was going through chemotherapy and I was starting to lose my hair, I went radio silent on all social media for like a month because I'm just processing everything. Yeah. And I had people like, Jessica, where have you been? I'm like, oh, just busy traveling, working, blah, blah, blah. And then when I started to lose my hair and everything became real, I'm like, okay, this is the beginning of my body being transformed from cancer. I'm not going to hide under a rock. I still want to see people as long as I can and as much as I can. So I just need to tell everybody. And so I told people that I had cancer. And then I had questions come in. It was like, well, how did you know to get diagnosed? And I said, well, I do my self-exams every month. Don't you? And it was crickets. And I'm like, okay, this is a problem. And then as I talked to women, there were 3 main reasons they weren't doing their self-exams. No one ever taught them. They were ashamed or they didn't feel comfortable in their bodies, and they were afraid of finding something and not knowing what to do next or how to handle it because they didn't have insurance or they didn't have good insurance or they didn't have a doctor. So I thought, okay, I need to do something to help women overcome these hurdles. We talk openly about our menstrual cycles. We are Instagramming our breasts, which is cool if you feel good about yourself, girl. Please keep doing that if that gives you confidence. But we need to take care of them. We need to mammogram them also and check them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's keep them healthy.
Yeah. So I was in the shower one night watching literally the rest of my hair, my life off my body fall down the drain, just watching it. And, the shower is a place where I did my self-exam. It's where I felt myself. So like Feel for Your Life just came to me. And being someone who has a background in journalism, marketing, and PR, I got out of the shower. I'm like, I got to save the URL. I got to save the Feel for Your Life.
I got to get the domain.
Get that domain.
Yes,
yeah.
I got the domain. All the social handles, Feel for Your Life on Instagram, Facebook, like all of them were available. I'm like, this is it. This is it. This is the name.
Your
Feel
light
for your
bulb
life.
moment.
Yes.
I love it.
So it started as a social media movement on Facebook and Instagram where I talked about my cancer story and why I did self-exams. And then COVID hit where I went from cancer right into COVID and
what a time.
What a time.
I started the damn trend wearing masks. I've been wearing them since 2018.
So, you were so ready to be done with masks.
Yes. Yeah. I absolutely. I'm like, okay.
And then you had to wear them for another 2 years.
Yeah. 2 weeks turned into 2 years. And so I had learned during COVID that, women weren't going to the doctor to get screened as they should. They were getting diagnosed with cancer at later stages. I thought, I've got to do something with this. Here we all are sitting around kind of twiddling our thumbs while my friends were baking bread and collecting plants, not dissing anyone who did that. I just can't keep a plant alive.
Neither can I.
I thought, well, I'm tech savvy. I know how to do this, and this. I'm going to utilize it. I'm going to create an app. And I'm just like, I looked at what was kind of out there and I saw some nonprofits do a pretty good job. There were some big names I'm like, these are okay, but they would say, this is how you do a self-exam now, write it down. And I'm like, wait, wouldn't you want that in the app also? Wouldn't you want to keep track of everything in one place? And wouldn't you want to know more about like breast density and what to look for and how and connect with people? And so I'm like, I'm going to do this, but make it better. And I remember I put out a Facebook post and I was like, who knows how to make an app? And someone connected with me and I got connected to this guy and he's like, well, this is actually how you can do it. And I'm like, okay, I can teach myself this. And so I'm like, what else am I doing other than quarantining? Yeah. And so I taught myself what I needed to know to build the platform and the app that everything is on. And so I made something that you could learn how, when to do a self-exam, what to look for, understand your breast density, your genetics, your prophylactic and risk-reducing options. And then from there, you're in a routine of doing your self-exams, hopefully coordinating this with your physician. And then you're keeping track of any changes or lumps or bumps or anything that, or at least tracking what your normal is so that you can go back, month 3 was okay, but here I am at month 7 and I'm like, did I have this before?
Yeah.
And you're going back and looking at your notes and it's all right there in the app. And then every month, you can set a reminder right there and you'll get a notification, a push notification that tells you, hey, time to do your self-exam. And, it's all programmed right there in the app. And another thing I like to do is, fill your cups, drink a cup. So, on occasion, I'll send out a push notification. Hey, here's a Starbucks gift card and, whatever money's on it, go through the drive-through, scan it. If there's money left on it, there you go, because I want to keep people, in the habit and to remind them that, this is normal and it's okay. And, it's a safe space.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was sharing with Ashley that I went when I was right before I had a baby. I was 28 before I got pregnant, and I, went to have my just regular OB checkup.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her. I said I hadn't had one in a while. I'm guilty of that. I just have not been always. You get busy.
Sure.
And I was there, and we were about done with all the hard stuff. And I said, well, shouldn't you look at my tatas? And she was like, oh, how old are you? And I was like 28. And she was like, no.
Wow.
She was like, kind of laughed. She was like, no, honey, we don't even need to chat about this till you're 40.
What?
Yeah, I'm not going to say the major hospital it was. And I was like, what?
That's crazy because everyone I know that has had breast cancer has been diagnosed, or 90% of the people that I know that have been diagnosed in their 30s and early 30s.
Wow. Yeah. 12,000 women every year under the age of 40 will be diagnosed with breast cancer.
So just for you to be advocating for women, all women, but young women, that it I love how you said, we talk about our periods all the time. We talk about menstrual health. This needs to become just an everyday, when you're talking to your girlfriends and you're bitching about your period, well, why don't you just do your self-exam? Making that normal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because especially in the world we live in today, where we're so, obviously I know that genetics and things come into play when it comes, but also we live in such a toxic world.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And does that play a role in breast health? Just toxins that you're exposed to?
So, not a doctor. I had genetic testing done, and out of me and people in my family who have been tested, no known gene mutation has showed up.
Wow.
That's crazy.
But I was also born in northeastern Kentucky, and where a lot of my family is from. They grew up in a holler. So that's what we call it.
Wait.
Yeah.
My grandma grew up in a holler. I've never met anyone else. It was called Hubble Holler.
Oh my gosh.
What if it was the same holler?
Maybe. Appalachia, Kentucky, northeastern areas.
Yeah. I don't know. I think hers was near Paducah. But anyway, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Do you know what a holler is?
No.
It's not even a registered town. It's not even like a district. It's what is it?
Just part of a county. I don't know. This is kind of crevice, just in the crevice of two hills. And
it's very country.
Yeah, it's
okay. Sorry, sidetrack. But I know exactly what a holler is.
I thought I would have to explain it, but I'm just excited someone else knows what I'm talking about.
It's a Kentucky. I don't know. It might be a Kentucky folk thing. I don't know. My whole grandmother's side, it's Kentucky.
Yeah. So they grew up in a holler where on top of the mountain, coal mines, and they drank well water and grew their own crops. And this is the Industrial Revolution, the early 1900s. No one knew about toxins or anything. So they're thinking that maybe the role the coal mines have played in that, because I know I had family who's worked in them, and, you're growing your own crops, and, the animals that you're raising are eating from the ground where all these, so they don't have proof. They can speculate. I've spoken with another oncologist who learned about my app and my work, and he said that he's we're working on it. but he thinks there are going to be combinations of gene mutations that are going to come out in the future. So it's not just going to be one gene mutation. It's going to be multiple gene mutations that may be what show up that are leading to cancer and disease. So, again, not a doctor or a scientist, but, what really happens, the way it was explained to me, people get cancer because cells go rogue, and they go rogue faster than your immune system can keep up with. And sometimes when we're looking for a reason to why so-and-so got cancer, it's more so to alleviate the discomfort that we have with that. So we need a reason. We need an excuse. We need to find something there because we're uncomfortable with the reality of someone's mortality.
That's a really good way to put it. You grasp for, maybe because they smoked, or maybe because you grasp for things because you don't want that to be your reality.
Exactly. Yeah. And so there's a lot of shame projection. Yeah. There's religious projection. I won't get into that, but people think that you're not right spiritually and that it's some sort of you won't believe what I've heard.
I can't even imagine. No, it's hard enough.
And it's just like, if you really are spiritual, if your faith really that's not the case at all.
Mm-hmm. It's the opposite, really.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy, but it's also interesting because there is the genetics behind it. There is, if it runs in your family, then you have to be a little more aware, but it's also random. So it's really anyone and everyone needs to be educated about it.
Right. Statistically, from what I've read, more women get diagnosed with breast cancer without a family history. I want to say, and I need to go back and check the statistics on this in the research, but I think only 10% of breast cancers are genetic of those who are diagnosed. So again, I need to go back and check on that, but the largest proportion are people who don't have a family history. I know women in their early 30s, some of my breasties online.
I love it. We love all the puns.
Yes, we love all the boob jokes.
No family history. I know a girl who is here from Nashville, 25 years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she passed away last year, but had stage 4, just one breast was growing bigger than the other. And she just thought, hormones. So, but at 25, that's probably, I understand why you would probably think that. There's a girl I'm connecting with right now. She was 17 and she just turned 18, and I'm trying to get her help and resources. She just lost her mom to breast cancer, but she's probably the youngest I've personally talked to. And that is extremely rare. So if anyone's young listening to this, just know, don't let that scare you. That it's very, very rare, but just be aware, take care of yourself.
Yeah. So there's some kind of probably some controversial things that you and we've all talked about when it comes to insurance companies. Mm-hmm. I want to get real here.
Okay.
Because that's what we do at the Renaissance Podcast. And I want to know, for the people listening, what are insurance companies not wanting, you to get out there?
So it's been my experience.
Your personal experience.
My personal experience. Insurance companies don't want you to do self-exams because it's going to drive up their costs. Women can have lumps in their breast for various reasons. Talk to your doctor about that. Like, I had fibroadenomas. I've had cysts. There are fibroids. There are issues related, to breastfeeding, all kinds of different reasons why a woman may have a lump in her breast. I have read before in research that I've read that 80% of lumps in the breast are generally benign. So again, talk to your doctor about that. But insurance companies, if women are doing self-exams and they find something and they go run to the doctor is like, he's glad that she is glad that you're doing your self-exams because they want to get you checked out and make sure you're okay. The insurance company is unhappy with that because it's going to drive up and run up their costs. So they've worked with certain organizations that I will not name because these organizations generally do good work. But if you look at certain nonprofits and you see who doesn't want you doing self-exams and you see who their biggest donors are and you see these insurance companies have gone to these major organizations and said, stop talking about self-exams.
That is insane. Yeah. Absolutely insane.
It just makes you question. You're like, when there's a lot of money on the table, sometimes our livelihoods and our health isn't always put at the forefront as it should, which is insane.
Yeah. Right. And I was just reading something the other day about, I want to say it was, I may get this number wrong, but I want to say insurance companies had revenue of $22 trillion last year.
Insane.
All of them like together, like when all their documents, and I could get that number wrong, but I just remember looking at the billions and billions and billions of dollars, and I'm like, look at how much money these people made. And I'm just like, that's why I'm a huge medical advocate, and and part of the work that I'm doing, I'm helping women negotiate their medical bills with providers, overcome some of their insurance obstacles and denials. And I'm just like, no, they can't deny you on here. This is how you fight this back, because I've faced it before, and I've been very successful in getting things overturned and getting things reduced.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's hard.
Yeah,
insurance. When you turn 26 and your parents are
and you're booted,
it's not a fun world, It's,
right. It's scary.
Like,
it can be.
And it's really like very much you're like, wow, I'm an adult. Like I'm an adult. And I can't even imagine being 25 years old or like 26, 27, diagnosed with breast cancer. Like that is insane.
Yeah. It's just, I know it was really difficult for her, but she did a lot of work with her diagnosis and was very outspoken and very transparent about what she was going through. And it's just the reality that, women, anecdotally speaking, are getting younger and being diagnosed. I remember when I got my breast MRI at the time of my diagnosis, I was talking to the tech there, and she's like, I'm seeing women your age and younger. I don't know what's happening or what's going on, and we can all speculate, but she told me, she's like, women are just getting diagnosed younger, and it's crazy.
And they see it. Yeah. They see it every single day.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, and, mammograms are recommended for women 40 and over. It's a little bit of an argument and a fight. I mean, you just went through with a physician who didn't even want to give you a clinical exam.
Didn't even want to. No.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a clinical exam doesn't take long.
No.
Like I have clinical exams because I have it in my family history, but it didn't take that long, like to just feel around up there.
I know.
Like,
I'm like, especially
simple.
if, I was voicing, because I thought, I don't know, I thought that was part of it. I hadn't, again, been to the OB in a long time and up until that point. And I just thought that was part of it, no matter how old you were, like, especially in your later 20s. I was, getting close to 30. I was like, I just feel like that's what you should do. And she was like, no, we'll see you in a year.
Yeah. I mean, there are many wonderful, great doctors, practitioners out there. So I don't want to seem like I'm slamming them, because some of them do incredible work, from surgeons. Everyone I've worked with from that point has just been amazing afterward. And at the same time, it's hard to speak up and question a doctor or someone, with all these letters and degrees with their name to speak up and say something. But medical gaslighting is a real issue. People want to be seen, heard, and understood in their care. They want to play a bigger role in their care. And that's some other work that I'm doing right now. But people make mistakes. It happens. But you know your body, you understand what it looks and feels and how you feel in it. So, let's normalize these conversations, and doctors, practitioners, they're under so much stress. It's the insurance companies, hospital administration. You've got a lot of people breathing down their back, and they're doing the best job that they can too. And so I know some great doctor advocates out there as well. And I have empathy on both sides. It's difficult, but I think just kind of normalizing the conversation on both ends and addressing the problems so that we can get the care that we need and deserve. We can do that if, keeping the conversation open.
And I feel like your body best. So you have a gut feeling when something's wrong. Like you were saying that the whole, once you found the lump, you were like, I just knew. I think too, women need to lean into that gut intuition. You just know when something's not right.
Right.
Whether it's in your body, you just know. And I think, we need to be advocates of that more, and be able to say, like, it's okay to say to your doctor, you might not be able to find something, but check again because I know something's not right.
Yeah. And a good doctor will say it's okay to get a second opinion. Like they won't be offended by that either. And I was going to say something else. But
I like what you were saying, though. It's your body. Like, who gives a crap about the doctor's ego? Yeah. Like, who cares? Like, ask the questions. That's why they're there. To answer your questions. And again, your body and be empowered by that.
Yeah.
That should empower you. I just know that something's not right. I feel like we need a second opinion. We need a second look. Can you bring someone else in? Like those are questions that you're owed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I mean, you're paying for your insurance.
Paying a lot.
Yeah. You're paying for that appointment. You're paying for the insurance.
And the doctor's making good money to be there. So, you know what? Make him work for the money a little bit,
Yeah.
Right. Don't just make it easy, but it's your life. Feel for your life.
Feel for your life.
It's a beautiful, I mean, you hear that and you're like, what is that? Feel for your, I want to know more. And we're so inspired by what you're doing. Walk us through kind of what the biggest goals are right now. For the business, for awareness. I mean, you've already, even before the Mona Lisa Foundation, your press has been amazing. Oh, yeah. I mean, Good Morning America picked up your story. I mean, you've been everywhere. You've had some really incredible. Ellen DeGeneres, did you do something with Ellen?
I haven't done anything with Ellen yet.
Okay, well, we're going to make that happen.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. The Today Show.
Yeah, that needs to happen.
List. That'd be awesome. Yeah, so primarily, like the biggest thing, it's something that I sort of live by is like, I don't care if people know who I am. I want them to advocate and do their self-exams. I want to get this out to as many women as possible. I want their friends, their family, them having conversations about, breast exams and screenings and their medical care. I want these to be open conversations. My goal is that this is, big here, but that every woman knows what Feel for Your Life is and that they have a connection with it and that they trust me, the app, and let it be an advocate for them.
Love that. So good.
So good.
Well, I guess to wrap, we always ask our famous question at the end of every podcast. What is your definition of a Renaissance woman?
I had a little time to think about this on the drive in from Clarksville, and I remember when I learned about what Renaissance meant, and I remember the word rebirth coming up a lot. I think I actually had to write that on a test. And so I see, my definition of a Renaissance woman would be a woman who is tired of the status quo where everything is right now, and she's ready to reinvent herself. She might be angry, but at a minimum, she's saying something's wrong and something needs to change. She's ready to, innovate, be someone different, make a change, not be afraid of it, and just go for it.
Love that.
So
just go for it.
Good.
So good.
Where can everyone get the app? It's free.
The app is absolutely free.
And it's very user-friendly.
Yeah.
Very easy to use, very user-friendly. Every girl should download it.
Yeah. Thanks for that. But it's you can find it on feelforyourlife.com. So remember, I got that URL
right out of the shower.
Yeah, right out. That's literally the second thing I did.
You're like dripping wet. And you're just like,
no, I was.
Sometimes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes I have my best ideas in the shower. I have my best ideas in the shower or in a cycle bar class. Because it's the time that I don't look at my phone. I'm like checked out and it's like my mind can just wander. And there will be so many times I'm just in the shower and I'm like, this would be a great social campaign. Or like, this would be a great reel. We need to do this.
Send Sydney voice
like, literally.
So good. I'm the same. But this is why we need to unplug, Ashley. This is what Ashley and I are not good at doing.
I'm not good at unplugging.
When we unplug, our best shit comes forward.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to all work on that.
But,
okay. And then social media. Where can we follow you?
Feel for Your Life on Instagram. Feel for Your Life on Facebook, and then in the App Store and the Google Play Store, Feel for Your Life. But the fastest way to download it and get those links, feelforyourlife.com.
And TikTok and Instagram.
TikTok, Instagram. I've got all the social handles.
She's everywhere. She's about to be everywhere else. And we are so excited. Thank you for coming on. You're such a Renaissance woman, and we're so grateful and honored to get to work with you.
Thanks, ladies. It's been awesome.